Okay, everyone, welcome back. We are going to go ahead and reactivate all of our heroes. We might be coming down now to the final stretch. So now that all of our heroes are activated, ready to go, I am going to first activate the nymph, draw an event card, which is Forbidden Treasure. Lose one grace, so that's not an option. I just have to lose it. But I have all of these cool possibilities here, so let's see what I come up with. Oh, I was hoping for a 6 and I rolled a terrible 1. So with a 1, I gain a Soothing Leer. So let me check to see what the Soothing Leer will grant me. So we'll come on over here and take a look. Discard at any time to refresh all powers of all heroes. So, right now, it's mostly the nymph and the ranger. So I'm going to go ahead and just, without even taking the leer, I'm just going to go ahead and exhaust it. So for the earlier in the game, I had talked a lot about wanting to gain an artifact, and I just really badly wanted one of those. So that's just too bad. I almost could have had it there. So it is her turn. So what she is going to do, I think, is either take on this zombie to try to take it out because she would have to fight it if not, or maybe claim finally the Holy Relic. I think for right now, I'm going to try to take out the zombie. So I'll use her tactic to fight with 2 dice. I should lose 1 secrecy for doing this, but I didn't take advantage of this autumn bonus, which is to gain 1 secrecy up to 7. So let's say I gain 1 and then I lose 1 for attacking the blight. That keeps me square. I want to roll a 5 or better, and I do not. So that is a failed attempt to take out the zombie, but nothing came up 1, so that's good. Going to come over here to the ranger. I will draw an event, which is Desperate Bargain. Choose 1. Destroy a blight in any location, or draw a power card, or raise your secrecy to the default, then choose 1. I think what I will do is go ahead and destroy the zombie. So that returns to the tray. And then choose 1. I'm just going to raise the terror level by 1. So there we go. Now, on his turn, I'm actually going to have him move back here to the monastery. And that allows him to gain 1 secrecy. And I'll take advantage of Hunt, which is activate whenever you gain secrecy. So now that this is active, in the future when I fight, hopefully against the Necromancer, that will allow me to fight with 4 dice. So we're going to go ahead and activate that. So that's pretty good. Now looking at some things that will not be so good, I have the Tinker stuck up here in the castle with the shades and the skeletons. So that it's not really great because he is down to having currently no grace left to spend. And he does have these really great items. So these 2 treasure chests would allow him to draw 2 more power cards, and then this bottled magic allows him to roll extra dice after a failed roll. And so I really don't want those to go to waste. What I'd like to do is find a way to trade them, to just give them away to another character, but they're all 2 spaces away from where he is now. So I think I might want to focus on trying to move him down to the center in the village so that someone could come over to meet him. But let's see first what the event will be that he must deal with. It is Occultist. The weaker things shy away from him. This one's important. Okay, so he can fight or elude. I think I will just try to elude, so I need to roll a 3 or better. I don't have anything right now that would really help me with that. I guess I could try to fight, and if I fail, I could then spend my bottled magic to give me more of a boost, but I think I want to try to save that. So this is sort of risking the Tinker's life here. He needs a 3 or better, and he rolls a 5. So that was a risk that has paid off. Now on his turn, I think I am going to have him move down here into the village. And I am going to go ahead and gain 1 secrecy for the move, because you do gain up to 5. I am ending here with the zombie, so unfortunately I do have to contend with it. I think I need to go ahead and deactivate this. So deactivate if you move. So the Surveyor gadget is no longer active. And I think I am going to try to elude. I guess I'll try to elude one more time. So taking a big risk, I need a 3 or better, or else my Tinker will perish. And I've rolled a 5 again, so he thankfully is safe. All right, so that's pretty good. Coming over to the Paragon, let's go ahead and activate him. He's also kind of in a perilous position, stuck here in the ruins with the skeletons. I think I will have him attempt to either collect the Holy Relic or take on the skeletons, but first I need to go ahead and draw an event card. Dead Servant. The rotten smell informs you that this one, like most of the Necromancer's minions, has been dead for some time. Alright, so my secrecy is currently a 3, so that means I have to take on an archer. I think I will go ahead and fight with 2 dice. Do not have any active auras. I have rolled enough to be able to successfully defeat him in the fight, so I don't lose any grace or take a wound. Now for his turn, I think he is going to consider his options. Right, so I think he's going to take advantage of his rebuke tactic again to try to take out the skeleton. He simply needs to roll 1 5. I guess I could try to elude one more time. And if I'm successful, I would gain an epiphany. And if not, then I would fail and all heroes are going to lose 2 secrecy. I could try Darkseed, but I'm not as concerned about it. I think I'm going to try to take out the skeleton, so he's going to roll with 2 dice, and he is unsuccessful, so he suffers a wound. Alright, so that was quick. It is the Necromancer's turn, so I'm going to raise the threat level by 2 because of Desecration, which still has not been contended with, so the Doom goes up by 1. This is really unfortunate, so I would now add my 5th timer to Evil Chant, which means I suffer the defeat, so all heroes lose 1 grace. So let's go ahead and move this back to the bottom of the stack. So for the Paragon, that's okay. For the Nymph, it's not okay, but she's still alive. For the Tinker, we will come back. And for the Ranger, that takes him also down to 0. So things are looking a little dire. I cannot lose 1 grace here with the Tinker, so what that means is that he is now defeated. And normally, if your hero, whenever your hero dies, you would take these items and you would give them to another hero in the same location. But because there are no heroes there in the location, they're just simply lost. So that is really bad. I'm going to take a moment to clean up his play area. And I will, in a moment, go ahead and remove him and choose a new hero and show you how all of that works. But before I do that, I need to go ahead and add timers here. So this will be the 5th one. All heroes lose 2 secrecy. Okay, so that is not good, but at least this quest is off the table. And I have to spawn a blight here for the penalty for the Dark Seed quest. But at least all of these quests are finally gone. And let's take a moment to see. In the ruins, we draw spies. So I'm going to go ahead and add them now to the ruins. So you lose 1 secrecy each turn that you spend here. So that's not good either. I do have to go ahead and take the Necromancer's turn. So I'm going to go ahead and roll die. And it comes up as a 3. So the only character he would detect then is going to be the Paragon, which means he's going to move down here into the ruins. And of course he'll spawn a blight, which is going to be a Lich. So we're going to go ahead and take the Lich and add him. He is the 3rd blight in that location. So the Darkness card does not apply because I would need to roll a 6 in order for that to have an effect. So yeah, that was a really pretty devastating round for my heroes. I'm kind of betting everything that the Ranger will be able to have a crack at the Necromancer. I think if I'm able to move him down here to connect with the Nymph, who can take the Holy Relic on her next turn, and then if the Paragon survives, I could move him over to lure the Necromancer over here where there are no blights, and then we might have one good shot at him. But we'll see. I'm going to take a pause here to draw a new character to replace the Tinker, and we shall return. Okay, so to replace the Tinker, I have chosen at random the Wayfarer. Whenever a character dies, the new character who comes in has 1 less default grace and secrecy, which I've marked here. They also draw 2 starting powers instead of 3, which you could see I've drawn Guiding Star and From the Blue. And you begin them in the monastery. In this, their first turn, they actually don't have a turn. You just kind of skip over them. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip this to mark that the Wayfarer is done. I'm going to come over here to the Ranger. I'm going to attempt to pray. So I will roll 2 dice, and I want each of them to be a 3 or better. So let's see if I'm a little bit luckier here. I am. So for each 3 or more, gain 2 up to default. So I gain 1, 2, 3, 4. So that really helps me. It's good to know I have at least 1 strong character here moving into what is hopefully the end game. Coming over here to the Nymph, I will activate her and draw an event card, which is Unsettled Messenger. The rider made excellent time. He also left a trail clear enough for even a zombie to follow. Lose 1 secrecy, which she does. Draw a quest and roll 1 die to determine its location, and then add a marker to it. So I've rolled a 3, which means it's coming down here to the forest. And the quest she has drawn is Making Waves. Exhaust 1 power to gain 1 success during your action phase in this location, and you can do this repeatedly. Whenever you would complete this, you would successfully gain a skull token, And if it expires, all heroes lose 1 secrecy. So not the end of the world. I'll go ahead and add my 1 marker to it, as I've been instructed to do. And the Skull token, the benefit of that is that you can discard after the Necromancer's movement roll to move him to any location except the monastery, instead of where he would otherwise move. So that could be helpful moving into the end game. But for now, what I am going to do is actually go ahead and spend my 10 clue tokens to claim this holy relic. So I've got it. I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of gaining my secrecy here because of the autumn spell. And I am going to move on now to the Paragon. If he would have 0 secrecy, he would have to contend with the Necromancer, which he does not. But he does still have to lose 1 secrecy because he's in the Necromancer's space. He will draw an event card, which is Temptation. How bad could it really be? Compared to your secrecy, which is 0. So I could spend 1 grace, which I don't want to do, or I could raise the terror level, which I will do. It's now halfway there, up to 15. For his turn, I'm going to have him move over. I would lose 1 secrecy because I'm here with the spies. But before that could take effect, I'm going to move him over. I think that's correct. I'm going to just double check the spy's description, which we can find here. At the end of each turn in the affected location, all heroes lose 1 secrecy. So it was not yet the end of my turn. I've moved him and I've gained 1 secrecy. And that completes his turn. Right, so it's now the Necromancer's turn, so I will raise this by 2. I will place a marker here upon this quest. I will roll this, which comes up as a 2, so that does allow him to detect the Paragon. So he comes over, and the blight that he spawns in the forest are shades. So I will add those now. So we're coming in, getting close to the end game. It's taking me a second here to find where the shades actually located. I may have all of them actually out on the board, which is, I think, the case. Just double check. Yep, so I think I need to take a moment to check what to do if all of the blights are out and you don't have one to draw from. So I will return. Okay, so the solution is easy enough. I'm just going to draw another card to see what would be spawned, and I'm spawning a Shroud, which will protect future blights in this area, so that is not too bad. I will go ahead and refresh all of my heroes. I am going to first activate the Wayfarer. And I'm going to have him travel. So he will gain 1 secrecy. I can take advantage of from the blue activate after traveling. Active, deactivate before a fight to roll with 2+ dice. So there he goes. Next I'm going to activate the Ranger. He will also travel and gain a secrecy. And actually, to take advantage of his travel here, I'm going to use track. So I'm going to exhaust, so that allows me to travel. And then he will search. So searching here in the forest has a difficulty of 4. Let's see if he's able to roll that. He does not. It's okay. I will go ahead and activate the Paragon. So he's going to lose 1 secrecy because he's in the Necromancer's location. Draws an event. Well, actually, let me check to see if that is correct. I will be right back. Okay, so I will make a correction, right? So the Paragon had 1, but because the Necromancer is in the same location as him, he immediately loses 1, which means he has 0, which means he does not draw an event card, but rather he has to do battle with the Necromancer. So he can attempt to fight with 2 dice here, and he needs a 6. Which he does not earn, so he does lose a grace. Now, on his turn, he's going to attempt to take out this shroud. Even though it's a bit of a risky proposition, he will go ahead and fight it with 2 dice. He needs a 5 or more. And he rolls a 6, so he does lose 1 secrecy for taking on the blight, but that didn't matter. He is able to defeat the shroud, so that is good. It is now the nymph's turn, so she will lose 1 secrecy for carrying the holy relic. She will have to draw an event. Compared to your secrecy, which is currently only 2, she has to face this shambling horror, the Slayer. She needs to roll a 6 or a 5. She can try to fight with 2 dice. If she fails, she will take a wound and she has no more grace. So that means she would perish. I think I will have her attempt to fight with 2 dice. And she needs a 6, which she does not receive. So she does die, which means we have to raise the terror level. This goes to another hero at her location, who will be... Actually, I'm going to rewind. I'm going to do a take back. So what I'm going to do is... Before having her face the shambling horror, I'm going to have the ranger give her this item, which has a unique ability. And the unique ability of this item, the Vanishing Dust, is discard after a failed elude roll to make it a success. So I'm going to have her attempt to roll here to elude, so she would need a 5, which she doesn't receive. So she will spend the Vanishing Dust in order to successfully pass this. I am then going to have her... I think I may have her attempt to fight the Necromancer. First, I'll go back up here. I'll move the terror level down by 1, since she didn't actually die because of my take back. I'll have her fight with 2 dice, and if one of these dice comes up as a 6, well then, with the Holy Relic, that will mean she has defeated the Necromancer. Because the Holy Relic gives you +1. So I just need to roll 1 6. Of course, if she fails, she is going to then perish. So let's see if she can roll a 6. And she does not. So that is okay. But she perishes anyway. This item will go to another at her location, who is going to be the ranger. The Paragon we will go ahead and raise the terror level by 2, which means we now draw another darkness card, which is the Well of Misery. Immediately activate in the Necromancer's location. At the end of the Necromancer's turn, if there are any quests in this location, add 1 marker to every quest at this location. Otherwise, draw a new quest card. So let's go ahead and add one to it. Plus, we would have to add one anyways, which means all heroes lose one secrecy. The Paragon did not have any to lose, so we're going to go ahead and remove this. So the next time there will be no quest markers, but I will be able to have to just draw a new one. I'm going to see what kind of Blight the Necromancer spawns here in the forest, which are vampires. So I will add them like so. And that is the end of the round. I have to go ahead and replace the nymph, and I will return. I have replaced the nymph with the alchemist. I drew at random. I've chosen for his cards Black Powder, which allows me to fight with 3 dice, and a Tincture of Peace, which could allow me to gain a spark for another character or even himself. He's up at the monastery, camped out. The other characters are refreshed. The one thing I realized I should have done is to take an advantage of the From the Blue bonus, which would be to activate after traveling, to give the Wayfarer plus 2 dice on a fight roll if he would deactivate this. So I am going to go ahead and mark that now. The Alchemist, as we know, does not have a turn, so you just kind of flip this over. The Paragon, I'm going to start with him first, so I'll activate. He is at 0, which means he does have to fight the Necromancer, which he will do using Rebuke. So he needs a 6, which he does not earn, so sadly he has died. So yeah, that's really bad. 3 of my original 4 characters are now completely gone. He has no items to give away, so I will replace him at the end of this round, and you've seen I've already raised the terror level. I come over here to the Wayfarer. He will activate and draw his event, which is a Vengeful Spirit, a breath of wind, a darkness among the trees. Something has ceased its repose. So compared to your secrecy, which is currently 4, I have to take on a shadow. I will simply attempt to fight it, so I need 1 4, which I do get, so I'm okay there. I will lower my secrecy by 1 because I'm starting with the Necromancer. I should have done that before. I'm going to lower my secrecy by 1 more because I'm going to attempt to take out this vampire, which means I need a 6. So I will deactivate this to give myself 2 more dice. So I have a total of 3. I need one of these to come up as a 6, which does not happen. So I do suffer the penalty of the vampire, and I have to take it on again, which means I need to roll a 4 or more, which I do not do, so I lose 1 more health. That's really, really bad. Coming over here, I lose 1 secrecy for being with the Necromancer, and I lose 1 secrecy for carrying the Holy Relic. I will go ahead and draw my event card. The Altar, roll 1 die and take the highest. So I roll the die and I have a 1. I could spend 1 grace, or I could gain 1 terror. I'll just go ahead and gain this now. That's fine. I think I will take advantage of my poison arrow to fight with 3 dice to try to take out the vampire. I will lose 1 secrecy, but I'm already at 0, so what's the point? And I do roll a couple of 6s, so I do at least take the vampire out. That is good. I am going to go ahead and take the necromancer's turn. So this goes up by 2. I will need to go ahead and use the darkness card to as a function of Well of Misery. So let's see what kind of quest is drawn. The Thieves' Den. A band of thieves have made off with many of the town's valuables, steal them back, and cement the people's support. Well of Misery once again says, at the end of the necromancer's turn, if there are any quests in this location, add 1 marker. Otherwise, draw a quest and add it to this location. So it does stay here. So I don't add a marker. I could roll a die to determine its location, but because my ranger is already at 0 secrecy, the necromancer would stay put. So let's see what kind of blight he draws in the forest. It is a shroud. So I'm going to go ahead and add this here. We will refresh my characters. And of course the Paragon has died, so I'm going to take a moment to replace him. Okay, so I've chosen the Prince at random to replace the Paragon. And I have these 2 cards, and I've lowered his default Grace and Secrecy. I am going to go ahead over here to the Alchemist, and I will activate and have the Alchemist travel down here and not gain 1 secrecy because it's already at 5. I'm going to go ahead and just flip over the Prince to denote that he doesn't really get to do anything. The Wayfarer loses 1 secrecy for being in the Necromancer's location. He draws this event, which is a rescue. An ashen face looks up helplessly as the creature prepares to strike. You have only moments to intervene. I am going to try to elude. And I do not succeed, so the terror level goes up again. I am going to attempt to defeat this shroud, so my secrecy goes down to 0. Need to roll a 5 or better, which I do not, so I suffer grace. I am going to go ahead and activate the Ranger. His secrecy is 0, so he does have to take on the Necromancer. So I will use the poison arrow again. I will not use the poison arrow, actually. I'm just going to do it with a single die. I need a 6, which I get, so I don't lose anything. I will have him use the poison arrow now to try to take out the shroud. So it gives him 3 dice. And he succeeds and fails because of his poison. So he does lose a grace. But he does at least defeat the shroud. Okay, so Necromancer's turn. This goes up by 2. Adding a marker here. He remains where he is. He draws the card, and in the forest spawns corruption. So take a second to go ahead and add this. Corruption says that you cannot take advantage of any bonuses. So that will be challenging. All right, we're going to go ahead and reset everything. I am going to activate the Alchemist, who will lose 1 secrecy for being in the same location as the Necromancer. I'm going to take advantage of his tactic. But before that, I do have to draw an event. Exhaust a power or draw 2 more events, so I will exhaust this. We use this lose 1 secrecy for attacking corruption. He needs to roll a 5, but he can fight this with 3 dice. So he falls short, so he does lose 1 grace, and he has to exhaust this. Okay, I am going to have the Prince activate and simply travel down here to join the fledgling team. That completes his turn. I'm going to activate the Wayfarer, who now has to do battle with the Necromancer. So he needs to roll a 6. She does not, so he loses 1 grace. He now is going to attempt to take out the Corruption Blight. He needs a 5, which he does roll, and he is successful. So this is going to give me my best shot and maybe my final shot. I might have 1 more after this. I'm going to activate the Ranger. He has 0 secrecy, so he does not draw an event, but he has to take on the Necromancer, so I'll roll 1 die here, and I need a 6. Don't get it, but that's okay. I lose 1 grace. I now am going to deactivate this to fight with 4 dice. And of these 4, if a single one of them comes up as a 6, then I have won the game because of the Holy Relic I'm holding. So I just need 1 6 on this roll. And I've got it. There's the 6. So I'm going to take this 6 and apply the +1 bonus of the Holy Relic. It does allow me to defeat finally the Necromancer. Oh, that was really cool. If you take a look at my party, only the Ranger remains from my original group. And initially the Ranger started the weakest and had a lot of difficulty, but I think because I kept retreating him back to the monastery where he could pray and regain some health, he was able to ultimately be successful. I think I made a couple of mistakes along the way, especially whenever playing with a Nymph's character. Whenever she would spend 1 grace, she would also need to lose 1. So I think there may have been a couple of instances where I missed that. If you caught that, let me know in the comments. I think one of the main criticisms of this game is that you only have 1 action per turn, and that could be really frustrating. And I think that might be more so the case in a multiplayer game, where if you're playing with 2 or 3 others, I think it might be really frustrating. But I think playing as a solo player kind of negates that somewhat. I think also something that, you might want to think about is that having only that 1 single turn per round actually makes the game more strategic, because you really need to think ahead and consider how you're going to kind of plan your moves out in advance. The board feels very tight when you're playing. This is not an expansive game like Mage Knight where you're able to kind of like run away. And I think as a result, you really feel trapped. The board also feels less expansive than something like Eldritch Horror, and I think it feels more claustrophobic, even more so than Arkham Horror 2nd Edition. Of course, these blights don't move around the way that monsters do in Arkham, but the Necromancer certainly does, and that creates a lot of unique challenges. So I think these are some of the reasons that I really appreciate the game. The characters' unique decks of cards really just add a lot of replayability, and there are many really interesting combos that you could take. I wish I would have been able to draw more of those out throughout the course of the playthrough. I feel like at the end I was just kind of making a mad dash. And, we came really close to eventually losing here. But thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with the channel and watching this playthrough. See you next time.